Amid the chaos in Minneapolis, the Trump administration has announced it plans to seek conspiracy charges against a famed black journalist. Get this, using the Ku Klux Klan Act. Does anyone in this administration have anything resembling a sense of irony at all? We have all the details right here on The David Reddish Show. Hello, beautiful Occupy Democrats viewers. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Given that we honor this civil rights icon today, this latest creepy and wacky doodle story once again proves the Jerry Springerification of the United States. I'm pretty sure he once ran an episode on black members of the Klan, and if he didn't, well, then real life has officially gotten even more bizarre and ridiculous than the Jerry Springer Show. Think about that one. Also, if you want to stay up to date on all breaking stories in American politics, please subscribe to my channel now. I promise you're going to love it, but I digress. Protests continue in the city of Minneapolis, where thousands of ICE agents have flooded the city, and where agents continue to maim and even kill peaceful protesters there. Over the weekend, former CNN anchor Don Lemon ventured to Minneapolis to cover the protests and found himself taken to church. Take a look.
So you can see the protesters here have gathered over here. They're in the middle of the church. In the beginning of the church service, the pastor was speaking, and Nikema stood up and said her piece, and then the protesters surrounded her. But this is a clandestine mission. I think they found out according to them, this is according to Operation Pull Up, that one of the pastors here is a member of ICE, and so here we go.
You could talk to the lead pastor.
Yeah. Okay. So
pretty crazy, right? A man of the cloth, a man of God, is now supporting the same kind of oppression inflicted on the Jewish people by the Romans circa the 1st century that got Jesus executed. Whatever would Jesus say about that? Chances are he probably wouldn't like the newest development in this story either. Following his online broadcast of the Minneapolis protests, including the one you just saw in a church, a Trump administration official has announced that she intends to charge Don Lemon with the Ku Klux Klan Act, a law originally used to target members of the Klan who were interfering with and intimidating black citizens. Speaking on the podcast The Benny Johnson Show, Harmeet Dillon, the woman handpicked by Donald Trump to run the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, Dillon suggested that Lemon could face federal charges related to this involvement in the church disruption. Now, this is a very long clip, so I want to get right to it, and there's a lot to unpack here. Make sure to watch it all. Take a look.
We will pursue charges in this case. I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is an act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us, because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an affinity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act, because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a bearded man, who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there. So it seems like an obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln emancipated the slaves, and yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242 civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if three grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including the unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions. And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And
so there it is. This, for the record, is just the most recent attack on journalists and journalism by the Trump administration. Last week saw the FBI raid Washington Post reporter Hannah Nathanson's home, ostensibly looking for classified information. CBS News has seen its brand damaged by the appointment of Trump fan Barry Weiss as head of the network's news division, and Weiss has already come under wide scrutiny for killing stories unflattering to the administration. For more on both of those stories, see our other videos here on Occupy Democrats and The David Reddish Show. And it looks like Don Lemon could be next. Look, Lemon has made some very boneheaded comments in the past, but he's an intelligent man and a fine journalist, and his visit to Minneapolis only reinforces that. And if the administration is willing to go after celebrity journalists who are just reporting on a story, they are just on the scene as it happens, this is beyond a war on journalism. It's outright denial and suppression of reality. This is North Korea authoritarian craziness. But knowing Mr. Lemon, as well as so many other magnificent journalists in my field, I know that even being charged with the Ku Klux Klan Act will not be enough to make anyone back down. This is what we do. This is why I do this show, to make sure you beautiful people know the facts and the truth, regardless of who it embarrasses. I'm reminded of a time I counseled a young writer back in my days as an editor. She absolutely didn't want to use her real name on her byline because she wrote about racism, sexism, trans rights, and a host of other hot-button topics. But I told her she needed to. Part of being a journalist means you stand on the front lines, and Don Lemon is doing that right now. And I, for one, stand with him to report on the facts and call out the abuses of this corrupt and ineffectual administration. Stand with journalists by subscribing to both Occupy Democrats and The David Reddish Show, and count on us to keep up the fight. I'm David Reddish.